Hello, my name is Rick Utzer with AirgunWeb.com, and today we're going to take a look at how to, one, adjust the power in a BT65, and two, how to make sure this top section stays firmly connected to this lower section. Because of the really heavy hammer spring, and it happens very, very rarely, but I have seen it happen over like a couple thousand shots or so, every now and then this might get a little loose, and I'm going to show you how to fix that permanently. So the first thing we're going to do is flip the rifle over and take the stock, or take it out of the stock. I'll set this back like this. Get that so that rests in place there. Excellent. Now, probably going to take the air cylinder out here as well. Let's go ahead and do that. Where the gun is completely safe and can't accidentally discharge on us. All right, so that is done. Now we have 3 screws. I'm using a number 2 Phillips. Please be sure to use properly sized tools. If you don't, well, you can make a real mess with your screws, and you don't want to do that. So this here, this last one here, and that should just about break us free here. Okay, that slides right off. Make sure we get it all the way out here. Okay. All right, so we're clear. Now there's a little support screw that just fell down, and that sits inside the stock and provides support for this little nut right here. So be aware when you pull that off, that's probably going to fall down. One of the reasons I like using this tray here. Okay, so the first thing, super, super easy. Let's adjust the power. So they made this, or I should say Hotside made this about as easy as it can be. You're going to see your trigger assembly screw right here. This helps hold this trigger assembly in place, that little screw right there. A little hole right behind it. That is what we need to loosen up. Actually, a little Allen set screw in there that holds, let me find the right size, that's the one. It holds pressure on the hammer tensioner. That's what we're looking for. So it prevents that from changing. That is a 2mm Allen screw, so we're gonna get a little tough there. All right, so now that loosens up. Don't want to take it out, just loosen it up. Now, in the rear here, right there, as you can see it, right in there, there is another Allen screw, and that is actually what adjusts the tension. Now, I don't know exactly the right size. Well, a little bigger. I'll tell you what it is here in a second. Too big. It's probably the one in the middle here. Look at there. That is, let's see, it's a 6mm Allen wrench. Now this, if you want to have your rifle shoot with more power, you simply turn it clockwise. If you want to turn down the power, well, you could just go counterclockwise. It's pretty easy. Now this guy is backed out quite a bit because this is 177, so it's turned down a little bit. So I'm actually going to go and just make sure, kind of put it back where I started. Pretty happy actually where it's at. So put it right back there. All right, so once you've adjusted the power, got it where you want it, take your 2mm Allen in this little hole here, flip it around so you can see it. This goes right here, and you tighten that up, and that goes ahead and that locks that tensioner. Now, a lot of people ask me how many turns this, how many turns that. Truth of the matter is, without a chronograph, you just don't know what your rifle's going to do. It really depends on what pellets you're shooting, what your air pressure, your altitude. So many different things come into play about what that's going to do for your actual output of your rifle. Buy a chronograph. They're $100 to get one that works for you. If you don't need anything fancy, $100 is a great investment into your air gunning sort of career, if you want to say that. But your air gunning hobby, there you go. $100 is really not a lot of money to invest in your air gunning hobby. It allows you to make sure that whatever adjustments you make, you know exactly what you're doing. So That's that. That's how you adjust the power. That's super simple. Now we're going to take a look at this top part here. Now, as I said, there are 2 screws that you need to take a look at. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to cock it, lock that into place, and pull the magazine out. Now, the first you'll see is right in there. There's a little Allen screw, or Allen head screw. Let's see what size we got here. This is probably a little bit smaller. Okay. Okay, so that is going to be a 2.5. Yes, all right. So that is a 2.5 mil, and this is already really tight. So this one has never given me a stitch of trouble. So again, it's a very rare thing, but if it does happen, this is how you fix it. What I'm going to do to sort of permanently solve the problem, not that it is one on this one, is I'm going to try and break this free. I'll be right back. Need to get a pair of pliers. Okay, so now I have my pair of pliers. Give me a little extra leverage on this guy. There we go. As you can see, that was on there. All right, so we'll pull that out. Now, that's the little screw we're talking about there. Not very big. What we're going to do is, to make sure that never comes loose on us, put a little Loctite on. So we're going to put a little red Loctite here. The threads. Leave that standing up. All right, so now we can go ahead and put this back into our rifle. If you notice, it was hard to get that out. We want to make it hard to get out again, so do not be bashful when securing it. Now, the next one. Now, there's a reason I didn't take them both out at the same time. I still want to keep a good tight seal here. I don't want that coming apart at all. So you do one, and then you do the other. So the next one is back here in the back. So we have to release the bolt. And if you want to, I'll just go ahead and release the bolt. I'm going to go ahead and release the tension on this bolt here. So you can actually, there you go. Decock it is what I just did. All right, so here you have a hole in the rear of the receiver here. It's right back here. There's a set screw that sits right in the back, right here. And there's an Allen, you're going to use an Allen wrench to go through here into there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I think we're going to use, yep, that is a 3mm Allen wrench. This is probably going to be equally tough to get loose. There we go. All right, we'll pull this on out. All right, little shake, and we have our tiny little Allen screw right there, that little guy. Do the same thing. We're going to put a drop of some thread Loctite, whatever you want to call it. Drop it back in there and tighten her down, put the stock back on, and we will call it a day. So go ahead and set this back in. Little hole there. Drop that right in like that. Perfect. Now we will go back to our 3mm and let it catch in there. And there we are. Tight, 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 tight. All right. Give it an extra little turn, a little extra tension on there. And that's it. That is not coming out unless you really, really need it to. Okay, so now let's put the stock back on. Now the way that I do this, actually take the receiver, the whole rifle mechanism, set it down here. We've got these screws that are going to want to fall out, so we'll just pull them out. Okay, we'll set our stock back in the rifle rest here, lock it into place. We've got our spacer I was telling you about earlier that likes to fall out. It sits right in there. Now the gun, or the business part, just slides right into place like that. Now we can flip it right over. Hold it together, make sure you're smart about it. It goes like that. Go ahead and get our center screw in. Again, when you are tightening these up, do not over tighten them. You don't really need to go crazy. And always make sure to use the right size screwdriver. Do not try and use a number 1 Phillips for a number 2 Phillips screw, or you will strip the heads and find yourself not being able to service your rifle. Okay, there we go. The last one here. And that's that. And that is it. So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone with this. You now know how to adjust the power on your BT65, and you also know how to make sure that this top section never comes loose. So that's it. If you have any questions, email me at editor@airgunweb.com. Thanks for watching.